Hi everybody, Alex here with my Module 5 Observational versus Experimental Studies presentation. I chose to do my sort of research study ideas on does cigarette smoking affect running performance. For the observational study, what I thought up was students at a college participating in a running club were asked if they would be willing to participate in a research study related to the effects of smoking on runner performance. The students who agreed to participate were asked if they were smokers or non-smokers, and their times on the mile run were recorded as they finished the race. This observational study occurred over 12 weeks. Although the students ran most days of the week, the recorded times were all taken by observers only on Saturdays, when all the participants agreed to meet in order to be timed for the study. Um, all participants were also given a small gift certificate to a local restaurant in exchange for their willingness to participate. I just kind of added that in there, so I thought it'd be a nice thing to do if you were conducting something like this. And then the data analysis compared the mile times of each group by week, recording each group's average mile time to track improvements. So the results are over here on the right, and plotting this average mile time data revealed that the change in running time for each student group was similar, and that both groups had improved on their initial 1 mile running times. So you can see they were kind of started at around the 15 and 14 minute mark, and towards the end were down around like the 9.5 minute mark. So due to the fact that this is an observational study, we might be able to draw an association between the non-smoking group and faster running times. So you can see that they're pretty much consistently lower, but we can't prove that it was the lack of smoking that caused them to be able to run faster than those who were smoking. The non-smoking group might simply be more prone to exercise or otherwise value physical fitness and health kind of outside of the club. And the non-smoking group might also, eat healthier diets or possibly even run longer distances when they're training. There's no outright association between the smoking and non-smoking, and the running times was demonstrated here. So like you can't really prove from what I'm showing here that there's any indication that smoking or non-smoking is going to give you a better running time. So we can't determine any form of causality because of that, and as far as that relationship. So given the fact that they both improved, we might even consider the fact that it's likely all participants were at least moderately skilled runners to begin with, whether they smoked or not. The only conclusion we can draw for certain is that both groups were similar in their improvement on the mile time over the 12-week duration. Some people do both smoke and run, but usually if you can handle doing that, it's like something you've been doing for a while and have kind of built up a tolerance to it. So I'm basically saying, if they're in a running club and smoking, like they're probably kind of used to it, and that's probably why we're seeing this this sort of trend in both groups. For the experimental study, I decided that students would be invited to participate in an experimental study that involved several 1 mile runs and cigarette smoking. 30 volunteers would be randomly assigned to be in one of two groups. Both groups would run on the same days at the same times. That way they're in the same conditions. So whether it's really sunny and hot, humid, or raining, or whatever that is, they're all exposed to that. So that's not going to affect running times any differently for each of the groups. And they were also requested not to exercise or smoke except on the days during which the experiments were conducted. So basically, rest of the week, no smoking or doing additional exercise. So like outside of the study, exercise is not going to influence you, or hopefully not. Students in the first groups smoked, were each required to smoke one full cigarette of a popular brand prior to each run. Students in the second group did not smoke, were instead allowed to sit or stand while the other group smoked their cigarettes, but were not allowed to engage in any additional stretching or exercise prior to the run. So like everybody would stretch out together and kind of prepare together, but then when the smoking group is smoking their cigarettes, the other group just has to kind of chill out. That way they're just, basically breathing, kind of get a resting heart rate, where the smoker's resting heart rate's obviously going to increase from the nicotine. So the data analysis compared the mile times of each group by week, recording each group's average mile time to track improvements, and both groups met once weekly for 12 weeks. The results show here, again over on the right, that students who did not smoke prior to their 1 mile run had overall better average mile times across the 12-week period, and also showed more improvement in their run times over the entire duration of the study. So there's a much larger split between the two groups now that we're kind of controlling for some of that stuff. Because of the way that I designed it, because I wanted to track mile times over a long duration, it'd be very difficult to sort of force anyone not to exercise or smoke on their off days. So that's why I put requested, because unless you were in, unless everybody was like living in a facility or something, it'd be very difficult to control for those variables. So, just keep it to a minimum. Please don't do it. But there's no way to guarantee that unless you had like a completely closed off setting. Assumptions and limitations. As this study was an experiment, each participant was randomly assigned to either smoking or non-smoking group. That way, whether or not the individual had smoked previously or was used to smoking and running will be less likely to influence the outcome. Excuse me. Due to the randomization, it's likely the same number of those who smoked pre-study wound up in each group, even if that was nobody. Additionally, we can also be relatively certain that smoking or not smoking prior to the mile run was tied to each group's time required to complete the run. So it's much easier to kind of draw that conclusion now that we've put some of these controls in place. And obviously the randomization. As a disclaimer, again, no single study should be used to make a strong statement of causality. Well, it does kind of suggest that they might be linked. You would have to conduct several more iterations of a similar study in order to confirm that the two are related. Now, I also put just an important note: the study would also likely be considered highly unethical, just due to the fact that nicotine in cigarettes is and other tobacco products is really, really addictive. So exposing people to that that did not want to do that, or did not weren't really into that, would probably be just because of the health risks and everything, would probably not be a sanctioned experiment in really anywhere. But I thought it was an interesting concept to explore. Personally, I'm trying to quit smoking myself and have been running a lot lately, so I was just kind of thinking about that and kind of how that might look if you did a study on it. So thanks everybody for listening. Hope you have a great rest of the week, and look forward to chatting with you in the comments section.